Hello and welcome to the Europe Elects coverage of the March Portuguese parliamentary elections. Portugal's public will be voting for the Assembly of the Republic in these elections, who will in turn elect the Prime Minister, who will represent Portugal on the European Council. With just days to go, we'll be discussing the electoral system, the latest poll figures, and possible scenarios going forward. So how does the electoral system work? Portugal elects 230 MPs through proportional representation on 22 multi-member constituencies, 18 in mainland Portugal, 1 each for the archipelagos of the Azores and Madeira, and 2 for the Portuguese diaspora living abroad. Unlike other countries, Portugal doesn't have a national threshold. Candidates only need to get enough votes to elect an MP within a district to gain representation in the Assembly. So what's the context leading up to these elections? These elections were triggered by the President when the Socialist Prime Minister Antonio Costa resigned after an investigation was opened against him and some members of his cabinet alleging corruption over the attribution of public contracts for lithium mining and the production of green hydrogen. This turn of events has left the centre-left leaderless and the traditional centre-right is willing to capitalise on this. So, let's see what the polls are showing. In 2022, the Socialist Party won an outright majority in the Assembly with more than 42% of the votes, and did not require the confidence and supply of minor left-leaning parties as had been the case in previous parliaments. After the election, however, their support has been in decline, especially after Prime Minister Costa's scandal. PS now stands at almost 28%, falling to second place. The main opposition force, the centre-right Social Democratic Party, has formed the Democratic Alliance coalition with past allies, the Social Democratic Centre People's Party and the People's Monarchist Party. While PSD finished in 2022 what many would consider a humiliating second place where they lost 2 seats, despite increasing their votes from 27.8% to 29.9%, the CDS-PP lost their representation in the Assembly outright, and the PPM hasn't been represented in Parliament since 2005. With the support for the PS decreasing, PSD wants to reclaim the government with the confidence and supply of both CDS-PP and PPM. As for now, the alliance stands strong, averaging almost 13.3% according to the polls. It should be noted that this is not the first time that this particular alliance has been formed. The original Democratic Alliance, known as AD, was created for the 1979 and 1980 elections. After that, it's remained as an alliance mostly for regional elections only. The right-wing party Chega has more than doubled their 2022 results according to polls. Some even suggest that the party is breaking the 20% voter intention, establishing it well and truly as the country's third party. This would continue the party's ever-growing support since it first entered the Assembly in 2019. The Liberal Initiative is an opposition party as well that has seen a small increase from their 2022 results. The left-wing and green Unitary Democratic coalition between the Communist Party of Portugal and the Ecologist Party, the Greens, had their worst ever result in 2022, getting only 4.4% of the votes, and their current polling average shows a further decline to 2.9%, which is not enough to lose all seats in the Assembly. It should be noted that in 2022, all 6 seats of the coalition went to the Communist Party, and this isn't expected to change this election. The left-wing BE also had one of their worst results in 2022, even managing to get less MPs than CDU despite getting more votes. Nonetheless, polls show an increase in support for BE from 4.4% to 7.8%. Polls show that the animalist and ecologist PAN's support remains mostly the same as in 2022, increasing by only 0.1% and perhaps retaining their single MP. On the other hand, Livre has seen a small rise in the polls, and if it remains this way, the party could increase their representation in the Assembly. With the current situation in Portugal, a left-leaning government led by the Socialist Party can only be achieved with the support of other left-leaning parties like the BE, CDU, Livre and PAN. While AD gathers a plurality of votes, it's not clear if the 3 parties would have a majority, and if they don't, they would be dependent on confidence and supply from the Liberal Initiative. Finally, although Chega would be a kingmaker under the current scenarios, they are currently under a cordon sanitaire, where other parties have claimed that they won't cooperate with Chega. The AD parties, however, have made previous confidence and supply accords with Chega in the Parliament of the Azores. Nonetheless, that deal fell through, and Chega will most likely demand more from the other parties to allow government to be formed. Thank you for tuning in to our Europe-Elect's coverage of the March Portuguese parliamentary elections. If you like what we do, check out our social media. We are on X, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and we are on many other forms of social media. And also make sure to check out our website at www.europeelects.eu. Thank you for listening.